stamp out a win here. That being said, like the most notable pick, I think we already mentioned it, the Rumble pick. Feel like that has to be contested between both teams. Maybe even a ban here for C9. C9 should just ban it out.
Yeah, I am curious if C9 are going to continue to ban it out even on red side, just because they have proven, FlyQuest that it is a flex pick for them. I would still kind of be making the assumption to be going towards Bwipo, and then it would be up to C9 to see what they'd want Thanatos to bring out. Thanatos, by the way, who had definitely his best game of the series on the Renekton in the last game.
Yeah.
Sion ban. For some reason, it felt like they had extra long for that last ban.
Yeah, no, that lasted a long time.
Thinking over the Rumble.
I guess that's interesting. The Sion ban, I guess, allows them to play like picks like Jhin, I suppose. Like things that they're just afraid of this, like the walloping tank. And then if the Rumble gets picked, then they don't have to deal with Sion coming later. But yeah, it's going to be a Naafiri locked in so far.
Yeah, and that was actually like a big nerf to Bwipo right there, because the Fearless client, you can't pick the champions that have already been picked. So with the Kai'Sa pick last game, he can't hover Kai'Sa at the start of the draft anymore. So he was forced into an Elise hover, which I think like might mentally really like mess with him.
Man, absolutely love that. Here we go with Ambessa's another one that he's been able to blind pick to a decent amount of success early on. I feel like Bwipo is just going to have counterpick this entire time, and they're just blinding it right away, which will mean that Gnar will be available in a game 5 if they end up winning this next one.
Yeah, I do want to bring up, I definitely think it's going to Thanatos,
Could be mid.
It could be a flex pick, theoretically.
Yeah.
I still think like C9 as a whole, for their drafts, I think they really, really heavily prioritize comfort for their players. And as you already mentioned, Thanatos has had some really, really good outings on that Ambessa.
Yeah, and the two picks that I see a lot going up against Ambessa that does quite well is like the Renekton and the Jace. Jace was banned, and of course Renekton was just played last game, so it feels like it's a lot more freer to pick. Licorice, what would you want to see, like if you were in this position going up against Ambessa?
Yeah, Shen is something that lots of people have been playing. It's like really strong in the early parts of the game where it's really hard for Ambessa to do anything. And you do eventually get outscaled in the side lane, but especially when you combo it with something like the Naafiri, you're gonna have really strong dive onto the back line. So I think it's an interesting pick for them. There isn't a ton left. You could have picked something like the Rumble, which is still up, but that really is just like a skill matchup.
Yeah.
Whereas the Shen is something with more like defined windows where you're going to win early, you're going to be a pressure point, and then the Ambessa is going to be a pressure point later.
And then they also lock in the Viktor early with the other 6 mid laners already being gone. They're saying Loki doesn't have a hard punish pick. I find it so interesting in this specific Fearless series, like Bwipo is just letting Thanatos play what he's comfortable on, and then Bwipo is pulling out the weird fringe counter picks for everything.
Yeah.
Right? With the Cho'Gath in game 1, he's played Set, he's played Nidalee, now he's playing Shen. Rather than if you were to run this series back again, just picking the meta early, and now Thanatos would be out of champion, so to speak. But very interesting strategy here from FlyQuest and Fearless.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bwipo himself has talked about it, and it's something that FlyQuest obviously play around, where his thought process is essentially that he's going in assuming that he knows the matchup better than you, right? So like that in and of itself is going to be an advantage if he comes into a game with a pick that not only he knows how to pilot, but he knows that his opponent might not know the matchup nearly as well.
We're going to get into pretty crazy territory here. I liked what C9 did. They picked their AD carry, and now they're just going to start nuking the AD carry pool, because now you have 6 AD carry bans gone through. Now, of course, with the 7th one. Jinx I thought was beautiful with this composition. You have Shen and Viktor that's giving you a lot of space. Xayah is another one that I think is really cool here, just because you can go Xayah Rakan, and you have a pretty good kiteback comp against an Ambessa, so Ambessa will feel really useless. So all of these things, I mean, including the Shen ulti. So I really wonder what Massu is going to pick here, because I do think he has a lot of space to work with.
I mean, MF, Jen, Xayah, Aphelios technically available, even though he hasn't played at the split.
Yeah, I was thinking, I guess maybe Massu has games on Draven's played, because like Draven would be beautiful here going up against Sivir. Like I'm sure she just can't play the matchup, but wonder what the response is going to be now.
Yeah, I'm also curious about the mid lane pick, because I feel like the early Sivir pick to me means that like they want like wave clear in their comp, which means they might not necessarily be getting it from the mid lane. So I'm not sure if Loki's going to pull out something something more exciting. Like I don't even know.
I mean, I'm staring at the board, and Orianna's looking pretty good. I know that's not exciting, but it's a standard old-school mid laner that would work very well with their front line as well as their speed comp from Sivir if they're going for scaling.
That is true.
I haven't seen much Orianna from Loki, though. I know Orianna's out of meta.
Yeah.
Oh. No shot.
No.
Emax Mel?
I can see Mel.
Like, I like the idea.
Sylas.
Oh, that's
is more
interesting.
likely.
That's pretty aggressive. That's now it's a bunch of beef with Sivir running behind them.
For me, this makes the Sivir pick make more sense because now, like, they needed the wave cleared in order to pick Sylas. They probably didn't expect the Sylas to get banned away, so they have a comp that, like, has a lot of side lane pressure and then, like, has the Sivir just killing all the waves mid lane the whole game.
Kog'Maw would be interesting.
Ooh, Kog.
You could just go, I mean, Lulu's banned. But I was thinking Rakan. I mean, if you're Massu Busio, you have a lot of room to work with, but
Braum into triple melee is pretty nice.
That is
too.
nice.
Yeah.
But what combos with Braum that's left? MF probably?
Yeah, not
You
Jin.
could go MF. Yeah, not Jin.
We're not picking it.
Like anything besides Jin. I don't know.
Just the fact that C9 has kind of, it is.
I love Kog. Yes, let's go.
The only Kog'Maw Braum I've seen has been from G2, actually. So Hansama has been kind of playing that once in a while, but this is a good Kog'Maw Braum game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it has a good matchup into Sivir because Sivir just like can't really do much about, like, Kog'Maw just presses W and walks at her, and then Sivir like can use her spells back, but I think Kog'Maw's gonna win those trades.
Quick, give us your favorite based on these drafts. I know it's a little strange going into Game 4 Fearless.
I'm gonna have to give the edge to FlyQuest in this draft. I feel like they have like a strong early game, and then they've got like the nice scaling in mid lane. I always prefer the control mage over Sylas. Like whenever I'm just like looking at the draft, I'm always more comfortable with the control mage side because I feel like Sylas has to do well and like can't fall behind, or else he's just gonna like fall out of the game. Yeah,
and when I saw the Sylas locked in alongside Ambessa, and you already have the jungler there, I was just really concerned that now you're going into a kiteback comp with Shen, Viktor, Kog'Maw, as like, it's going to be difficult, I think, for C9 to chase you down.
Yeah, I like the Viktor and the Kog'Maw from FlyQuest. Casters, what do you think?
All right, thank you very much. Lounge non-subscribers, we will see you guys in 30 seconds. For everybody else, a little bit of fun information for you. It's been a couple of years since we've had a Kog'Maw here on the pro stage in North America. The last one was actually picked by Cloud9 in the summer of 2023. It was Berserker piloting that. Now it's FlyQuest locking it in for Massu next to that Braum in, if they win it, what'll be the final game of this series?
Berserker wins.
I didn't ask the producers that. I just know that Berserker played it. Because, you know, if you lose on Kog'Maw, maybe you were just maximizing the potential of your character, using all of your skills as frequently as possible.
True. Passive use on Kog'Maw, very important. I do really like the draft from FlyQuest. We'll see. Again, I think there's pressure on Cloud9, kind of similar to last game, to be able to make things happen. Sylas is always really good in Shen games because you can steal the Stand United and you can be able to side lane and kind of respond very easily with that. That being said, there's not really a lot of great ults for him to steal besides that. Like, Viktor is fine. You know, Naafiri is nothing. Kog'Maw is essentially nothing. It's like, you know, so not the most variety that he can really take from. Ambessa versus Shen, I do really like Shen in this matchup. I do think it is very Shen favored, you know, in the early levels, like Rich was talking about it. You get good position on your blade, and you're able to really kind of always have the push early.
All right, nothing level 1 yet again. So let's go ahead and toss things down to Emily, who's standing by for an interview with Coach Mithy.
Thank you very much, Cast. I am here with Mithy. The first thing I did want to ask is I really, really loved a lot of your response picks, in particular the 4-5 Kog Braum. As it goes later on in these drafts, how do you prepare?
It's hard to prepare. We just have to get creative and trust that we're going to be able to pull off champs that we don't have the best practice on at times. You know, it's just the nature of Fearless and what makes it also very fun. So.
One thing that's really impressed me about FlyQuest as a whole is where a lot of teams kind of fall into a trap, especially on the 4-5, where they might not end up with a cohesive composition despite getting picks that they're comfortable with. You guys seem to put together really cohesive comps, so where does that come from?
Just conversation. We just talk every day about creating cohesion and making sure that our picks work together as good as possible. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to watching your team, and I'll let the casters get back to it.
All right, thank you very much, Emily and Mithy. While that interview was happening, of course, we had some pretty big trades happening in both of our side lanes. Bwipo took a turret shot up here in top lane. It's why he was worse for wear than he could have been in that 1v1 against Thanatos. Meanwhile, bottom lane, both non-flash summoners used by the duo of C9.
That is getting spicy. I mean, that gets really risky. He hits that taunt there. Now both of them are going to be pushing for level 3 really heavily. Bwipo is able to get it. Inspired, when talking about potential MVPs, he said if he doesn't think about his teammates, Thanatos, he's the hardest player to play against overall. Also, when I talked to Inspired before, he has said that he is one of those big carry threats. Inspired is right down to bot lane, though, early gank.
Yep, Busio flashes forward to immediately get the auto attack on Zven, starts stacking up that stun. Inspired just jumps forward. There's no way for Zven to get away. Inspired wanted to make it a clean 2-0, but not quite enough damage to force the kill on Vulcan. Now Blaber moving into the top side, seeing if he can find something in retaliation back against Bwipo, who once again takes the tower shot. And that means there's no chance for an outplay, 1-for-1 across the map.
It's actually really bad, though, for Bwipo, to die in that situation because it is an early game advantage that you have as Shen. So if you give over kills, if you get into a bad spot, you can get outscaled very quickly. And it can get to this point where there's not really any coming back in that 1v1. So Thanatos can be really happy about his position. Is going to TP straight back, match Bwipo.
It's very exciting because this is the matchup that everyone talks about leading into this series. It's top lane, top lane, top lane. Thanatos versus Bwipo. #1 all-team pro versus #2 all-team pro going against each other. And on a signature pick, on Ambessa, you can make so many picks and have such a high impact. But on the other side of the map, I thought Inspired had a really good route where he actually started on his own wolves and then went to the bottom side, jumped over the back of the Dragon Pit and wraps around to get the early kill onto Kog'Maw as well. And Kog'Maw is going to be critical to their game plan as well.
So one thing that I do want to point out, even though it does seem a little bit silly, yes, Bwipo took the turret shot there. Yes, the kill goes over to Thanatos. Blaber didn't even get an assist. So at least you've got that little bit of a silver lining there. Skarner went up, he didn't get anything.
No, I mean, unironically, it's like you're kind of forced into dying because Blaber is there, even though Blaber didn't, get actually involved in the kill. The fact that he is there means there's no way to run, so you're going to try to go for a 1-for-1. You're going to try to trade. He couldn't get it onto Thanatos, so that is something working for him. Going to be really interesting to see how Bwipo builds. People do really love Titanic. It is very strong, but the problem is when you go Titanic from behind, it takes so long to get there, and a lot of the components are pretty useless. Like, you don't get a lot out of longswords. There's not like AD scalings in the kit for Shen. So a lot of the Shen 1 tricks actually do something where they just go bombies into Deadmans, especially in a position like this where they're already a little bit behind. So they just use that bombies for wave clear. They go into Deadmans, and then later the bombie gets turned into an MR item, and they kind of just go with that more supportive role because the thought process is generally if you get behind early, you're never going to win as Shen because it is such an early game focused champ.
Thanatos down to 200 HP up here in the top lane as C9 working to secure themselves the first Drake of the game. Now Busio and Massu stepping up trying to challenge him here for it. Slam into the wall. Busio in danger. The Drake is already secured by C9 and they get a kill on top of it. Inspired wanted to jump in there and try to get something back, but the damage is not there. Massu still firing. Vulcan wants to try to get away, but it ain't gonna work. He dies. Loki dies. Everybody's dying as Blaber wanted to make a flash play, but it ain't gonna work. A double kill. A triple kill for Massu on the Kog'Maw.
So we mentioned the other side of the map in the first play. Massu got the first kill. He just got 3 more. This is going to be a huge Kog'Maw. Greatly accelerated. That makes life very hard for Skarner, a health stacking champion. Blaber is going to have to be very, very careful with this game. So Busio goes in super early to try and get his Braum passive onto Blaber, but ends up getting pinned against the wall and bursted down super quickly. But the fight continues and they extend it.
Exactly. Inspired just goes in, creates so much space. Quad arrives. Lethal Tempo gets stacked here for Massu, and he's just shredding them. Gets the Q to finish off Vulcan as he's hitting Loki with the autos. Gets a second kill there, and then Blaber even spends the flash. His E came back up. He tried to flash in and stun him.
Nice, nice.
That's just one of those things where he looks really silly doing it, but he was waiting for his spell cooldowns, and he thought he could flash stun him into the wall and maybe set up for a kill in that way. Of course, couldn't get it off, does die, does lose the flash. You said it's bad news for health stackers. I would also say it's kind of bad news for everyone. Kog'Maw does a lot of damage when he gets ahead. health stacking or not, it is really oppressive. You know, I do think Kog'Maw always has clear counterplay, though, until you get to like a lot of items where he starts building tanky, and then all of a sudden you can't one-shot him and you can't out-DPS him.
And it's really, really scary when he rolls double mobility summoners just like this. He's got a Braum protecting him, and he has the Ghost plus the Flash. So it's usually when you're playing against Kog, you want to try and play around that W timer and the cooldown, but like when he has all this extra mobility, it becomes insanely difficult. So Massu here, who has been such a big story for FlyQuest ever since he has joined this roster, we'll see if he can carry them to victory here in this series, because they only need one more game. Cloud9, though, still focused, and they're going for a topside play.
They want Bwipo again, but Bwipo with a nice sidestep there to avoid the public execution. C9 continuing to move forward. Bwipo just danced circles around them. First, he sidesteps the Ambessa ult, then he backsteps the Skarner Impale. Bwipo survives.
That was really well played. So people are going to criticize Blaber for that. The reason he positions his ult like that is because he's going to say, Bwipo is going to have to flash as soon as I press this, and he's going to put it in a place where he'll have to flash into it, otherwise he'll die. Of course, in this case, he just held the flash, then flashed afterwards, does get out. That has got to feel really good for Bwipo. And he is still going Titanic. He goes back for the Tiamat. This is a pretty weak part of the game, though, when you're on this this one item, which is the Tiamat.
And the reward for Bwipo absorbing all that pressure, absorbing both of those ultimates, still staying alive, is that now Inspired is up here in this topside river. Not even a minute after the Grubs have spawned. He's already secured the first. He's going to secure the second. Cloud9 won't even be around to try to fight for the third, and they don't have the resources to do so anyway. So Bwipo, wasting that time and those resources, buys Inspired the opportunity to lock up these 3 Grubs for FlyQuest.
Good jungle brain, Flowers, because I was right there with you. I was like, as soon as I see that, I'm mashing Honor for my top laner. He absorbs that gank, both ultimates. I get the Grubs. That is so good for Naafiri, for Inspired here. So back down to the Kog'Maw problem, though. That is still going to be the biggest issue.
Yeah, that is going to be problematic. And the funny thing is, it's actually more of a gold lead for Quad. Well, it was, excuse me. You know, it's just about the exact same right now. So Quad doing really well in that 1v1. Grasp Viktor, very difficult matchup for a lot of these melee champions. You can't really just go all in, because you throw your chains, you dash in with the Abscond Abduct. Well, he just puts Gravity Well on his feet, and now you're getting hit and you're stunned up. It's really, really difficult. So he's constantly just going to be autoing you, putting pressure on you, and that means that Loki is going to have to give up some farm. Early Merc Treads as well, going to make things even more difficult. And Quad is going to be going towards a row of his own. So he's going to be a very tanky build here. Tough to actually 100-0. And I think it's going to be a difficult matchup for a long time here for Loki.
And when you pair that up with what we were talking about earlier, okay, so now we have a mid laner who's going to have some powerful scaling while also being very hard to kill. Kog'Maw has very powerful scaling, and then he'll start building tank eventually and be very hard to kill. Who ends up even becoming the target? Because it's a tanky support. It's a Shen in the top lane. It's Naafiri with her very, very balanced W. Who's going to actually die?
I mean, the answer is you still have to go for Massu, because if you don't kill Massu, you're always going to get out DPS. You're going to die, and that is going to be the challenge. You're going to have to go through a Braum, through a Stand United, through, you know, a Spirit's Refuge, that parry zone here from Bwipo. You're going to have to try to kill him through all that, which is so tough. And they're looking for Bwipo again. All
right, Bwipo wanting to try to sidestep away from the Skarner tackle, but it's not good enough. Meanwhile, 2v2 down in the bottom lane. Vulcan's got to try to disengage on that one, as Bwipo does at least drop this time. C9's going to get what they came for in the top lane.
I mean, this is really good from Blaber. He's just going to keep going at Bwipo. He got away last time, played really well, but this time no flash. So now you go down, another kill goes to Thanatos, and you lose the play. Again, you get outscaled in this matchup, so it's going to be hard for him to maintain, presence in that side lane. And one of the things I think people sometimes don't think about with Shen is, yeah, sure, you can ult away, great, help the other side of the map. But the problem is, if you never have push, there is such a cost to ulting away. You ult the other side of the map with the wave under your tower, you're giving up a full wave, you're giving up multiple plates, so the play on the other side then has so much pressure on it to succeed. It's way easier for Shen to make plays elsewhere if he also has a push.
Exactly. That's why that play was a double win, because they got the kill and they got the teleport afterwards too. Usually you're going to use your teleport to get back so you don't give as much up, but now Bwipo doesn't have that either, and the swaps come out, so topside for Zven and Vulcan to go catch that wave first.
All right, Minions doing a little bit of plate damage here. 12 minutes on the clock, 1 Drake to 1. All 3 Grubs, of course, going the way of FlyQuest means they are 1 neutral objective away from being able to secure that feat of strength. However, there's no neutral objectives available to play for quite a while now. Dragon 4 minutes away since that first one was taken so late. The Herald still 3 minutes away from here. Do you guys expect to see just some PvP for the love of the game, or is it probably going to have to wait until we get to one of these objectives spawning?
I mean, honestly, if I'm FlyQuest, I just want to farm. I just feel like you just want to farm, you just want to chill. You do not want to fight anywhere where Thanatos is right now. Just being on components here for Bwipo. Great taunt.
Nice taunt on Zven there. Forces him to take 2 turret shots and the full damage from the Shen combo with the Q. That means Zven is down to 1/4 HP.
That's some PvP right there, Flowers.
Okay.
There you go. That counts.
Love of the game.
Just for the love of the game, as immediately the public execution from Thanatos jumping in after quad, but he's already used the Chaos Storm to try to protect himself, and Bwipo's joining up here with the rest of the team. A nice double impale from Blaber to guarantee that Loki's able to escape, and now it's Bwipo in trouble. C9 brought reinforcements, and Loki brings the chains down on Bwipo. A 5v4 game now for C9 as they get a 1-0 in the scrap.
Yeah, that is massive for them because not only did they kill off Bwipo, this is what I was talking about. When you don't have push and you ult away, you lose so much. They lost plates there, they lost a full wave, and now they're about to lose a second full wave to that top tower. Each of those waves is 100 gold. That's a couple hundred gold. That's all the experience. That's all of this gold going away on that ult where you got nothing.
Meanwhile, Loki does have his teleport, so he's going to at least get under there for some experience, but Inspired comes over to push him out too, or maybe go for the dive. Rakan is on the way.
Okay, C9's gonna have some backup. Loki jumping in, trying to put a little bit of hurt here onto Busio, make the tankiest member of this trio a bit more hesitant to want to try to start up some turret aggro. So C9 not gonna be in any real pressure, any real danger over here right now. Now the clock has moved forward enough with this little bit of fighting back and forth. We are getting close to those neutral objectives spawning. Rift Herald up in just over a minute.
Yeah, it's going to be really close now, and we'll see if both teams do want to really pressure for it. Zven here off to a good start, has quite a lot of gold, has kept up very close to Massu. Even though Massu got 4 early kills, he has more farm, he got those plates. So Zven is scaling really well here also, and he does have this big front line to create space for him. Massu, though, at 14, had that 200 gold lead, has put out some good damage, has those 4 kills.
That's all I ever think with this kid. That's what's going.
Can you repeat that?
It's going on in the Kog'Maw players' brains. I feel like every time you press W, there you go. That's your whole team fight.
Gonna need a soundboard of that one.
The soundboard is W.
LTA where Kabe will literally bark for you.
W and right click. That's the soundboard.
Oh,
meanwhile, Thanatos is actually the biggest marker on the Rift. He is the one that's going to be looking for the most PvP with his 1,000 gold lead on Ambessa. And now he's just sitting his level 11, so you got your rank 2 ultimate. Love seeing some snowball with that champ. Meanwhile, though, Blaber gets locked up here in mid lane.
Blaber's getting shredded. He flashes over the wall to try to stay alive. Massu needs a little bit more damage, but they don't have enough firepower. Critically, Blaber escapes.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised. Loki stole the Stand United, never used it there. So, didn't think that it was worth coming through or had the confidence that they could get out without him. But that does mean he gets pushed there, and he's going to actually TP down to bot lane. They're going to actually look for a dive with Stand United.
Yeah, Quad is in some trouble here as the 3v1 is going to put him in a real tough spot. Chaos Storm will not protect him. C9 get killed, number 6.
I love the offensive use there of the Stand United from Loki. It's one of the reasons it's so good to have Sylas when there's a Shen on the other side. They make this aggressive move. They kill off Quad. They get first tower. That's feats as well. And a 3rd kill into Thanatos' pockets. They have been playing so heavily for him this game. Non-stop ganks towards Bwipo. Now Loki coming down, 3-man dive. He has gotten paid, and now it's Thanatos' turn to try to pay that back. He's got to be a big factor in this game.
So FlyQuest will manage to claim the Herald as the trade for that play in bottom, but I do believe this is the first time in the series that C9 has claimed the feats and the boots, considering they were first to 3 kills, even though it was a really close contest with those big fights. They got the first turret as well. C9 are feeling good about this current state of the game as Bwipo tries to flash away, but Thanatos has Eclipse. He's 3-0 on the Ambessa. He does so much damage. Bwipo is 0-4-0. Thanatos is absolutely the better top laner in game number 4.
We did warn you. He is looking for more PvP, and he just runs him down the lane, makes it look super easy. The response is going to be the Rift out playing mid lane, but Loki's wrapped around too.
Yeah, Quad's in danger now. That gravity well to try to protect himself from Loki, who was stolen away the Chaos Storm. Busio and Massu making their way down into the fight to try to protect their mid laner, but they've got to be careful because Blaber and Vulcan are also ready to contribute. Loki's still alone right now, but Thanatos has joined the party. This guy's the problem, as immediately FlyQuest have to scatter. Massu tries to flash back over the wall and barely stays alive, but C9 dog piles in and guarantees the Kog'Maw's gone. Thanatos backs back away, nearly survives with a shield, while Busio hops back over the wall to reinforce Quad. Thanatos and Loki both dead. Inspired and Massu the same. Everybody from both teams piles into the red side jungle of FlyQuest, and it's 2 for 2 when the dust settles as C9 moves to take the Drake.
Bwipo got an 850 gold shutdown there, it looked like, off of Thanatos, so a big injection of gold for him, but Thanatos still massively ahead. And we can see this one more time. You know, Loki just getting very aggressive with it, and then this super early TP from Thanatos is going to put so much pressure on Massu. Massu just has to run for the hills immediately. This is a great prediction from Busio, though, over the wall. Predicts where the dash is going to come. But even with that, it just doesn't matter, because look at this stolen ult from Loki over the wall, drops the Viktor ulti on multiple members. FlyQuest were so low on health that they couldn't stay around and fight.
And then the follow-through on this scrap was so incredibly close. Quad, I feel like, had very good movement this entire time. It started with him dodging the Sylas chain, and ends with him surviving there on the backside of the fight. Bwipo, of course, at the end, with his Titanic Hydra, was able to finish off that kill and get that cash in. We'll see if that moves the needle at all.
I mean, the thing is, it's not in the 1v1. Definitely help him in this stage of the game, but you just do not win. From Eclipse, basically until forever, you're pretty much losing this 1v1 unless you're way ahead. And you can see he was not ahead. He was way behind, because Thanatos has a big advantage with all the help they got for him. He already has tier 2 boots. He's got the Shojin completed on top of that Eclipse. It is completely impossible in the 1v1. He's down 2 levels as well. So Bwipo is just got to try to push waves and hope that his team can do things elsewhere.
And Bwipo right now doesn't have his own ultimate, but he's facing Loki 1v1, so Loki could take his ultimate and actually cover that timer instead and kind of flip the script on that cooldown. Doesn't look like there's going to be any extra pressure or anyone stepping out from towers, though, on the side of FlyQuest. They don't want anyone else to be in danger.
Really interested to see where Massu goes with his build. Of course, you know, Blade of Rune King, Rage Blade, like that is always going to be in there.
Yeah.
But then does he just go straight up tank after that? Does he continue to build more damage? 3 into tank. Sometimes people go, you know, 2 items and then they still build, you know, a little bit of tank right there. And to just try to survive the dive with the thought process of, if you can't 100 to 0 me, lethal tempo plus double items here is going to be enough to keep me going. And then there's also kind of like the middle of the road options where you can go like Wit's End or pseudo tanky, you know, with a 3rd item. So we'll be interested to see how he goes.
Okay, what do we got here? What do our timers look like? 15 seconds on the Otacon. I feel like last game I cursed it a little bit by saying that it looked like FlyQuest shouldn't be able to force the Otacon. 20 minutes into the game, then they get a huge fight against C9 to bring the game back into their own favor, take the Otacon there. It's 3 games out of 3 that FlyQuest have got a very early Otacon in this series. We'll see if they can manage to pull off something similar here again, because right now it's C9 with control over the top side river where the Otacon has spawned. Thanatos has buried Bwipo so many times, there is no way that Otacon is going to the other side of the rift.
Yeah, and Bwipo, it does have his ultimate up and available at the moment, so he's split pushing on bottom side. They want him to be able to take the bot tower first, but C9 force.
Okay, FlyQuest trying to step up here, but C9 still have total control over the Otacon pit with the objective down to about 5,000 HP. Vulcan going to be jumped on by Inspired, but that dog's got to be careful. He tries to get back away, while Blaber gets a massive 3-man impale as FlyQuest tries to make their way into the pit here for the fight. Blaber's going to be taken low, but he ain't taken down just yet. C9 running over FlyQuest in the Otacon fight. Thanatos is just way too far ahead. It's a 5-for-1. C9 gets it done.
They ace him and they get the Otacon. Blaber nails the smite. They get the secure. They're going to take a tier 2 and a tier 1 likely off the back of this. This is going to be a 5K gold lead. And when everything is said and done here, as Busio, you know, he was going after the top side of this fight. You know, you can see they're moving up there. They're trying to put pressure onto Vulcan, but Zven is just free-firing on them. And then Blaber flashes back in right as the stand behind me comes through. 3-man ulti, then no hesitation from Thanatos gets in. Massu gets incredibly low and then is just flashed on by Loki to finish him off. Cloud9 know this is their fight to lose. They commit fully to it, and they dominate it.
Nice, guys. Nice. Top tier two. Mid range, I'm the mid. We can get together.
Oh, they are fired up. The Cloud9 comeback, the hopes of the Cloud9 reverse sweep in this series are very much alive.
And you can see the damage in the last team fight right there. Isaac, you already complimented Zven earlier for despite the fact that he had to be laning against this 4-0 Kog'Maw, who's the beneficiary of all of the early action. He's done a good job staying relevant, staying caught up, staying powerful, and he topped the charts in the Otacon fight.
And him and Vulcan are the ones that forced Inspire to use the W really early on Naafiri, which then made him vulnerable when they went back in for the actual smite on the Otacon. See what they could do in the aftermath, though. They are all on bottom side here, so looks like as soon as they call Blaber down.
Okay, Busio not going to hit anything there with a winner's bite. Blaber set up for position over the wall. Ishtal's impact, ready to lead the charge. Blaber goes in, only going to find the opportunity here onto Busio, ready to lock him up as Vulcan zones Massu further away from the fight. Bwipo here on the front line. C9 undeterred, Massu under pressure, and Loki's already found the kill. FlyQuest can't do a thing about it. A double kill for Loki, a triple kill for Zven, a clean ace for Cloud9.
How much can they do? There's 40 seconds on quad here. Can they just end the game? They're marching for it. Cloud9 want to deliver us a game 5.
They've got the minion wave, and they've got enough health bars that they're going to use themselves to absorb the turret shots, at least from this tier 3. The next minion wave is making its way up, but they don't believe they have the time. Massu and Busio are both going to respawn here in about 10 seconds with their limited health bars, with the slightly delayed wave. They choose instead to retreat, regroup, spend their gold. They're 9,000 ahead, and C9 is poised for victory.
If you ever see a Thanatos Ambessa, you play for the Ambessa, for sure. Here's a look at the engage, and it was as really nicely timed between them as Blaber came through, and then Loki had the stolen Braum ultimate. Vulcan goes super deep there.
Yeah, Massu was forced to flash and use Ghost, and look at Thanatos sneaks through the public execution between everyone, tags Massu. That's the end of the fight, because Massu is your only chance to get anything done from this point. Thanatos nails him, takes him down. It's a 5-0. It's a triple for Zven. It is Cloud9 on the precipice of claiming this game.
I want to go back to the top of the day when we were listening to the lounge talk about the potential win conditions for both teams and why they were split, 2 for Cloud9, 2 for FlyQuest. And Licorice was talking about if Cloud9's going to win this, you can have Thanatos like popping off, right? Like this guy, Thanatos and Bwipo being that top lane matchup. Even when I was talking to you guys earlier, Kobe, you mentioned how this is what everybody was talking about with these two teams going head to head. And it has been a Thanatos gap in games 3 and 4.
And when I say everybody, Flowers, I mean everybody, including the players in this game. We actually had Inspired on the dive, and we asked him, all right, what are like the other people that come to mind when you think of MVPs? And his answer was only Thanatos. He was like, this guy, of all the other players in the league, is a guy that will win a game against us. We'll see if they can actually do that, though.
Okay, FlyQuest looking for a chance here, but C9 are immediately going to stop that engage. Blaber wanted to find a flash and pale angle, but he ain't going to get it. Meanwhile, Thanatos again marks his target for public execution. The fight's over before it ever really begins. Only Quad still alive. A triple kill for the Ambessa, for Thanatos. Loki going on a rampage, picking up the 4th, and now C9 will take their chance to go claim a free Baron. 21 out of 23 kills Thanatos has been there for. If top lane is an island, FlyQuest is not booking a vacation there anytime soon.
Not at all, man. Cloud9 played so heavily towards Thanatos this game. You know, they get him in this matchup where they know, okay, you're going to lose early, but then he's constantly getting those ganks from Blaber. He's constantly getting that help, putting him in this winning position, and he has paid that back tenfold. Thanatos looking like an absolute monster in these fights, always able to find Massu. This time was set up well by Vulcan, who was able to knock up Massu, set it up for that public execution. FlyQuest are going to keep on fighting, but I think we all know how this one ends. 12,000 gold lead, Soul Point, Baron, they've taken everything, and they are really close to closing this one out.
Yeah, with all of the team gold, even the support matchup is a 2,500 individual gold lead there for Vulcan's Rakan.
That's like a fully completed item or 35 wards. It's a lot. There's a whole lot of stuff.
A lot of wards
that you could buy with all of that extra cash in hand.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about FlyQuest obviously being, #1, having the first team All-Pro votes, but look at these votes. They were very close in a lot of these roles. It was very competitive, inspired with Blaber, Thanatos with Bwipo, notably, but even the bot lane relatively close. These were clearly the two best teams in the league, rightfully so. They got the most votes here. And C9 looking to prove people wrong, show that they are the better team, that they are the best players in the league here. And I feel like people had been overlooking them a little bit, especially after that best of 3. But even from scrims, everyone was telling me that FlyQuest was really a cut above where C9 is right now. And C9 looking like they are up to the challenge today.
Yeah, FlyQuest are about to be cut down here in this 4th game. The inhibitor destroyed in the mid lane now, as everybody else on C9 going to gather up here at the top lane, tier 3. Thanatos absorbing the damage from the turret immediately, as now they continue their push forward. Loki looking to take out the first Nexus turret before anything else can even happen. FlyQuest just scrambling, trying to defend the last remnants of their base. C9 with the full push in full swing as Vulcan leads the charge into the back there with a quickness, stuck on the front line. There's no way for Bwipo to get out of it. At least one's going to get traded back as Massu kills Zven, but it does not matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to Silver Scrapes.
The first Game 5 in LTA history between the top 2 teams in the league.
Doesn't get any better than this. I'm so excited for the final draft as well, going this deep and fearless. I mean, the Shen did not work out, got attacked so heavily. This game was really all about Thanatos. It looked like it was going to be a tale of 2 lanes. Top lane got the best of them.
FlyQuest was looking good in those first couple of games, but C9 have rebounded beautifully as we head to our first Game 5 here in North America this year. Cue up the Silver Scrapes!